Okay, I was kind of debating if I was going to end up doing a video on this show, but as I was re-watching it, I just started casually writing notes and it turned into something of a script, so here we are. Let it be known, if I blow through some games in this video, my apologies, but I'm doing that thing where I inevitably say, I don't want this video to go on super long, and it's going to go on super long. So if a game's not that crazy, I might just kind of blow through it. My apologies in advance. Either way, welcome back to I Want to Talk About, the series where I take a topic, I sit on camera, and I blabber about it. And as you can tell from the title today, I want to talk about the latest Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase for July 2025. Finally, we have been given a new Nintendo Direct, sort of. This is the first Nintendo Direct since the launch of Nintendo's newest console, the Nintendo Switch 2, which has been obviously making the rounds. It's been great, it's been breaking sales records, it's been like the fastest selling system of all time, I think. I have mine and I'm loving it right now, and it's had some really good first-party games thus far, with games like Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza, with some really exciting ones to come like Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, Pokemon Legends ZA, and Kirby Air Riders, just to name a few. But with the fact that the Switch 2 released in June, Nintendo skipped not E3 season, and we didn't get a new Nintendo Direct at that time, which has naturally led to a lot of fan impatience about when's the next Nintendo Direct, and finally we got one. Again. Kind of. Instead of being a full-blown Nintendo Direct, it's a partner show, which obviously means it's going to be third-party focused, which to me is kind of a double-edged sword. In one breath, I think it's great that the Switch 2 has good enough third-party support to have partner shows like this, and that the system's powerful enough to handle third-party games. Trust me, as someone who lived through the Wii U era, it makes me happy to see some of the third-party games that are coming to the thing. But on the other hand, a lot of the games that I've mentioned, and some others, don't have release dates yet, so not getting those announcements in a proper showcase is a little bit disappointing. But hey, I'll take what I could get, even though, again, I didn't go into the show expecting the moon just because it's a partner show. And ultimately, I would say my pretty modest expectations were met. The show was alright. Obviously, I have my notes, so we're going to jump into it. I will point out, though, this is something to just expect out of, like, the next Nintendo Directs for the next, like, year or so, let's say. One of the things they mentioned during the show is that, obviously, they showed some games that are coming to Switch 1, some that are coming to Switch 2, some that are coming to both. Obviously, Nintendo and other publishers aren't just going to stop supporting the Switch 1 now that the Switch 2 is out. So because of that, I will specify if a game is last-gen, next-gen, or cross-gen as I talk about it. Cool? Cool. So jumping right in, the first thing that they showed off was Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection. I have mentioned many times that I'm not a huge Monster Hunter guy, and even if I was, I think a more exciting announcement to start the show would have been like a Switch port or a Switch 2 port of, say, Monster Hunter Wilds or something like that. But it seems cool for the fans who are into it. I know the first few games were pretty good, and the visuals in this trailer seemed epic, so it's pretty nice. It's coming 2026 as a Switch 2 game, so that's pretty cool. After that, we got to see Once Upon a Katamari, the first new Katamari Damacy game on a console in like well over a decade, which is crazy, because I know that Katamari's been getting some re-releases and ports and things like that, so it's pretty cool to see that we're finally getting a brand new Katamari game on a console that's not like a port or a remaster or anything like that. I don't play the series very much, but I'm happy to see it continue, and this new game does look very fun. And it's coming relatively soon, October 24th, and it's coming to Switch 1, so you'll be able to play it on both. That's pretty cool. I hope others are looking forward to it more than I am. And if you thought the show couldn't get better, of course we had to see that Just Dance 2026 edition is coming out October 14th as a Switch 1 game. Yes! Then after that, a long-rumored Switch re-release that I've been very happy to see is coming. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I've heard, like I said, rumor after rumor about this game coming to a Nintendo platform, any Nintendo platform, so I'm glad that that's finally coming to pass. I did play Dragon Ball Sparking Zero last year, and I enjoyed myself with it, so I'm glad to see that it's expanding its reach to Nintendo platforms. I say platforms because it's going to be a cross-gen game. There's going to be a Switch 1 and a Switch 2 version of it, which is pretty cool. Obviously, they're adding some Joy-Con motion controls. Seemed like a pretty obvious addition, because I think previous Dragon Ball games on Switch did that. And I'm also glad to see that the game, at least from what they showed, does look good on the Switch 2. Again, it's nice to see that the Switch 2 is powerful enough to actually handle bigger third-party games, so that's very nice. It's coming November 14th. Hopefully it doesn't get swallowed up in other holiday games, and hopefully this ends up being a fun one for Nintendo fans, because it is a very good game. I do recommend giving it a shot. Hopefully it ends up playing well on Switch and Switch 2. Big surprise up next, one that I really did not see coming. We got to take a look at Plants vs. Zombies Replanted. Most of the time these days when I think of Plants vs. Zombies, I tend to think of the Garden Warfare games, so it was really surprising and really cool to see the classic Plants vs. Zombies making a comeback on consoles, especially because Plants vs. Zombies 2 and 3, the latter of which I didn't even know existed until I was researching it for this video, were not released on consoles, so I'm glad to see that this is coming to consoles. I'm not sure if it's a game that I'm going to buy because I don't really have much experience with Plants vs. Zombies, but obviously the gameplay does look fun, and I can see this being one of those games that I try out if it lands on, say, PS Plus or Game Pass or something like that. It is coming out October 23rd, so it is coming later this year, and it is a cross-gen game. You will be able to get it on Switch 1 or Switch 2 if you want, which is awesome. Like I said, don't think I'll pick it up myself, but seems cool for those who are into it. Keeping up with EA, we then got to see EA Sports FC 26. The double-edged sword of Nintendo now having big boy hardware and strong third-party support is that while it's great to see big mainstream titles hit the Switch 2, there is now a non-zero chance that Nintendo is going to waste time at future Nintendo Directs showing the yearly sports game off. So yeah, get ready for that. If nothing else, I do think it's nice that this game is going to be on par with the other console versions instead of that Legacy Edition crap they were pulling with these Switch 1 FIFA games. And again, it's nice to see this end up on another console. Again, sports games do their best when they're on multiple consoles, so it's good to see that Nintendo fans who are sports fans are going to get a chance to play it too. And it's coming September 26th as a cross-gen game, which is nice. Cool to see that it's going to be there for fans who are interested. What I'm more interested in is the next thing they showed, which was honestly probably my favorite announcement of the show, Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac. I've mentioned it before, but I loved the first Pac-Man World Re-Pac remake, and I was hoping as soon as I was done playing that game back in 2022, the first thing that came out of my mouth was, we need Pac-Man World 2 next. If not that, then an entirely new Pac-Man World game. So it's awesome to see this finally arrive. Especially as someone who didn't really get to play much Pac-Man World 2, I do have a copy of the game on the PS2, I just never really got around to playing it. But now that it's getting a remake, I'm going to end up playing it here. Seeing it have the upgrades and the visual style and gameplay that the first Re-Pac had while maintaining the level design and everything that made the second game such a switch up from the first is great. I also love that there's a local co-op component now. It's nothing crazy, but it's definitely exciting to see it here. This is definitely a game I'm going to grab before the year is out, especially because I saw that it's only $30, so that's pretty nice, especially with all the game prices going up these days. I'm glad to see this one's going to be pretty affordable. It's coming out, great release date too, September 26th this year as a cross-gen game. I'm probably going to end up grabbing it on PlayStation because that's where I got the first Pac-Man World Re-Pac. But either way, can't wait to play this one. Then we got to take another look at Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles, which I talked about in my video on the latest State of Play. You can probably just copy and paste my thoughts from that video into this video. It's not a game that's in my wheelhouse, but I'm glad it's happening for longtime fans of Final Fantasy Tactics. And again, the fact that you could play two separate versions of it is pretty cool. Nice release date too, September 30th, so it is coming out this year, and again, it is a cross-gen game. Very nice for the Final Fantasy fans that are into that. Another announcement that wasn't really my kind of thing, but I'm happy for the fans that are getting it. We then got the proper confirmation of Persona 3 Reload coming to Switch 2. This was the subject of so many damn rumors at this point that even as a non-Persona guy, I'm just glad it's finally confirmed to be coming to a Nintendo platform. Again, I didn't play Reload. I think I had access to it because I'm pretty sure it came to Game Pass, but I'm just not really into Persona or anything like that. I respect the series, it's just not my thing, so I didn't end up playing it. But again, I know how beloved it is and how much people just love Persona at this point, and I think this is a game that people have been wanting to come to a Nintendo platform for a hot minute now, so I'm glad it's finally happening, and I'm not really surprised either. Atlus has had a pretty good relationship with Nintendo at this point, obviously Joker being in Smash and then some of the Persona games coming to Switch. So it didn't surprise me that this is coming to Switch 2, and I wouldn't be surprised if games like Metaphor ReFantazio and Persona 4 Revival follow suit in the future. Whether they do or don't, this is a great first step, and it's coming October 23rd. Again, Switch 2 only, which makes sense. And I'm sure this is going to be a really great third-party game to have on the Switch 2. And while this was a partner show, we did get one first-party announcement, one that wasn't really that surprising because it technically is a partner announcement as well. We got to see some more of Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. Again, I figured at a partner show this was going to be the only first-party thing we got to see because even though it's a Nintendo property, it's also Koei Tecmo because it's the Warrior series. Because it is published by Nintendo, though in Japan it's published by Koei Tecmo, so I guess it kind of counts as both. What we got here was largely a story trailer emphasizing how this game really is canon, which was that a surprise? Again, I guess I don't really keep up with Zelda's story a lot because I'm just there for the gameplay, but like, was that a surprise? I did just recently find out that Age of Calamity, I guess, wasn't canon, I think. So I guess maybe it is a surprise that Age of Imprisonment is now. Following Zelda's story is like digging for seashells in cement, so like I don't even really try to keep up with the story or the lore very much. But despite it being mostly a story trailer, we did get to see some gameplay, which is obviously awesome. I know the running joke with the Warrior series is that if you've played one of them, you've played them all. But that doesn't mean the games can't be fun, and this one does look very fun. Seeing some of the Tears of the Kingdom powers and crafts show up here is really fun, and it makes this a game I'm definitely looking forward to. And this is more kind of anecdotal, but another reason that I'm excited for this game is because recently I've been watching my brother replay the Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition on Switch 2. It's a Switch 1 game, but obviously you can play it on Switch 2. And it actually runs at a smooth 60 frames per second now, which is kind of crazy because the Hyrule Warriors games have often had some performance problems, so the fact that that game now runs competently is exciting to me, so I'm excited to see how a Hyrule Warriors game that's actually built for the Switch 2 is going to end up running on the system, especially as a Switch 2 exclusive. With that said, still no date. Again, Nintendo has so many first-party games they're dropping this year with no dates. All they've said is winter, which, again, could mean anything. That could mean, like, December of this year or February of next year. I don't know for sure. Either way, I am excited to play the game, and I'm sure it's going to be really, really good. Moving away from that, we then got to see Madden NFL 26. Just take what I said about EA Sports FC and copy and paste it here. It's a sports game. The only reason I got remotely excited about anything related to this game is the fact that Saquon Barkley's on the cover. Go Birds. But yeah, it's coming very soon, August 14th, only specifically to Switch 2, not Switch 1. It was a little surprising to me when I saw that because I got a little surprised that the EA Sports FC is going to be cross-gen, but Madden isn't. I guess I just forgot that Madden never really came to Switch 1, but oh well. Then after that, we saw Chillin by the Fire, a new game from Oink Games, who is primarily in the board game space, so I guess it's a little surprising to see them over here in the video game space. It's a campfire simulator. No, really, that's it. I'm not kidding. There's no hook. You just make a campfire. There's no story. There's no mission. You just kind of make a campfire. And I guess you can mess up if you don't make the campfire correctly, but yeah, you just make a campfire. And you can kind of just call your friends and have them join you online at the campfire, and if they have the Switch 2 camera, they can have like a little webcam display, but it's kind of freaky looking because they're just kind of floating disembodied heads. I don't like to be that guy in situations like this, especially as a Guitar Hero fan who always used to hear people tell me, go play a real guitar. But a game where all you do is build a campfire, where you and your friends can join each other online and have their creepy floating webcam heads on the screen while you sit by a virtual campfire, why not just call your friends and go make a real campfire? Seriously, who is this for? I guess if you have long-distance friends, that's one thing, but like, I don't get it. I mean, it's one thing if this was a photorealistic game, because then it would look like you're actually sitting by a real campfire, but it's not. It's like cartoony. And I'd also get it if it was like a VR game, but it's also not that. Even by the standards of cozy games, and even as someone who has put literal hundreds of hours into Power Wash Simulator, a game where you just fake power wash things, I can't see what you'd get out of this game that you can't get out of just sitting by an actual campfire. Unless you're like really afraid of fire and you just want the experience of sitting by a campfire, but maybe they're a little too hot or wood scares you or something like that. I don't know. It just seems like a really strange game, even by the standards of cozy games. But it did launch right after the show, immediately on the Switch 2 specifically, so I don't know, maybe some of you guys are playing it, maybe you guys can help me out and tell me what the appeal of it is. Are you enjoying it? Are you having fun with it? I don't know. Just let me know your opinions if you've played it, because to me it's it's kind of confusing. But after that, we got the confirmation of Apex Legends getting a Switch 2 version. The game was already on the Switch 1, but I guess it's cool to see it continue to get support on the Switch 2. I'm not sure it really needed its own space during a Nintendo Direct. It probably could have been part of a sizzle reel. But again, I guess it's cool that the game is still alive and still continuing to do what it does, even if its existence could potentially be blamed for the lack of Titanfall 3. Seriously, I just replayed Titanfall 2, literally finished it today for the second time. That game is a masterpiece. The fact that we don't have Titanfall 3 makes me very upset. But at least from the little I played, Apex Legends is fun, so I'm glad it's still going. And the Switch 2 version is coming out August 5th. Honestly, by the time this video goes up, it'll probably already be out, and some of you guys will already be playing Apex Legends on Switch 2, so if that's the case, I hope you guys have a good time with it. Another small one we got to take a look at was Hela, the new debut game from Wind Up Games. It's like an open world game about a mouse who has to make a potion to cure a witch's curse that I guess turned this person into a mouse, and you can play it online with others in co-op. Sure, I'm sold. Honestly, it just looks kind of adorable. I don't really know what its hook is, and I think I will need to see a little bit more of it because what they showed was pretty little. But I can't lie, I like what I'm seeing out of it. It's definitely raising my eyebrow, and I'm keeping my eye on this one. And we're going to have a lot more time to see more of it because it's not coming out until next year, specifically on the Switch 2, so I hope to see more, and I hope it ends up looking as good as it does now. After that, we got a reminder of Star Wars Outlaws coming to the Switch 2. This was shown in like a sizzle reel at the Switch 2 Direct back in April, so I'm glad that it's just getting shown again. I never really got to play this, even though I was kind of interested in it last year, but at this point, if I do play it, it'll probably be after it comes to something like Game Plus or Game Plus? Wow, that's what we should call it now. Game Plus. You know what I meant, Game Pass or PS Plus. Not huge into Ubisoft games like that. Not that they're like a company I hate as much as half the internet does. I'm just very indifferent to most of their games. So this is not something that I'm gonna want to pay $60 for on the Switch 2. It seems like a cool game, and from what I've heard, it's actually pretty decent, but to me, it just doesn't seem decent enough to want to go out and pay $60 for it. But again, it's nice to see it hit a new console. I hope it finds some success on the Switch 2, and it's good to see that the Switch 2 is powerful enough that it actually looks good over there. From the gameplay that they showed at the Direct, it looks very capable, so I'm happy to see that. And it's coming pretty soon, September 4th, to the Switch 2, so if you have a Switch 2 and you haven't played the game yet, here's a good opportunity. Another surprise that I have talked about in a video before, but just getting to see more of it here was pretty cool. We got to get another look at Cronos: The New Dawn, which I talked about in my video on the Xbox Game Showcase. It's the newest game from Bloober Team, and it's a survival horror game. I'll be honest, I haven't been crazy about Bloober Team up to this point. I found the medium to just be kind of eh. And while I really wanted to like the Silent Hill 2 remake, it just didn't do something for me. I don't know what it was. Maybe it just... Technically speaking, it's a good game, it's just not one I found myself able to stick with. I apologize in advance if that upsets anyone. But that said, this one is kind of catching my eye a little bit. It might just be that it reminds me of Dead Space, and the supposed cancellation of the Dead Space 2 remake is still hurting my soul, but the aesthetic of this game is super cool, and it does look genuinely scary. And it's got some really cool concepts to it. I love the idea of like a monster being able to absorb a dead enemy and that helping the monster become even more powerful. Like, that's horrifying. And for a game like this, perfect. I love that. And I do love that the game has this concept where you can like travel back in time, but in the process you kind of lose your grip on reality, and like there's different visual and audio illusions that show up on the screen. It's really cool. It kind of reminds me of something like Eternal Darkness. I was fascinated when I first heard about it, but I just felt like I needed to see more, and now that I have seen more, it's looking pretty awesome. Like, this is suddenly on my radar now. And it's coming pretty soon, September 5th, to the Switch 2. I don't know if it's a game that I'm going to be grabbing on the Switch 2 specifically, but it's definitely one I'm keeping my eye on. Definitely excited to see more of this one, and hopefully play it when it comes out later this year. From there, we got the announcement of Yakuza Kiwami 2 coming to the Switch 2, another franchise I don't play, but that I know is super popular. It's cool to see that the Yakuza, or Like a Dragon franchise, whatever you want to call it, is slowly starting to arrive on the Switch 2. I know that Yakuza 0 got announced at the last Direct, so maybe they're just kind of slowly drip-feeding them onto the system. Like, maybe we'll eventually see games like Yakuza Like a Dragon or Like a Dragon Ishin eventually make it to the Switch 2, but maybe they just want to kind of slowly put them on over time, maybe go chronologically. I guess we'll see. But in the meantime, this is coming November 13th to the Switch 2, and they also confirmed that Yakuza Kiwami 1, which was previously on the Switch 1, is getting a Switch 2 version on the same day, so that's nice. And there's going to be a digital bundle with both games, so that's pretty cool. Then we got into a sizzle reel, and I'm just going to blow through these games, give some very, very, very quick takes on them. Pardon if I don't look directly into the camera, I'm just going to read straight off here what I have about these games. During the sizzle reel, we saw Goodnight Universe coming November 11th as a cross-gen game. A baby with psychic powers seems kind of cute and off the wall. NBA Bounce on September 26th for Switch 1, a chibi NBA game, cute. Hello Kitty Island Adventure Wheatflower Wonderland this autumn for the Switch 1, game of the Millennium incoming, you know it. Romancing Saga 2 Revenge of the Seven, which launched after the show on the Switch 2. I know nothing about the series, but I guess it's pretty cool. Shinobi Art of Vengeance on August 29th for Switch 1. There's a demo out, and I have to jump on that because the game does look very cool. And Borderlands 4 on October 3rd for Switch 2. Don't care, but it's cool if you're into that, and it's cool that it's going to be hitting the Switch 2, even if it is a bit later. So to close the show, we ended up getting 2 announcements, both from Square Enix, both of which were not release dates for FF7 Remake Intergrade on the Switch 2. But the first of the 2 announcements that we got was The Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales, a new 2D HD game that's apparently an action RPG, which is kind of crazy to me because most 2D HD games that I notice are turn-based games, so this seems like a nice switch up. I also noticed that the world of the game is called Philabieldia, which as a native of Philadelphia, close enough, I'm here for it. But honestly, yeah, this one looks pretty cool. It's like a switch up for a 2D HD game, like I said, because it's a little more action-based. I've seen some kind of say that it seems like a mixture of something like the Mana series mixed with Zelda, which I kind of get from seeing the footage of it. And again, as someone who's more into action-based games and turn-based RPGs, it's more up my alley, so I might have to end up giving it a try. It's going to take a while to get to it because it's coming 2026 as a Switch 2 game, but a demo did drop after the show, so I'll probably have to look into that. And then to properly close the show, we gotta look at Octopath Traveler 0. Now, on the other hand, I know that Octopath Traveler is a very popular series, but again, it's not really my kind of game, so I've admittedly slept through them. I think the only one that I ever tried was like a demo of the first Octopath Traveler, so a prequel is not the thing that's going to make me suddenly spring and jump up out of my seat and just get into the series. I'm sure it's great for people who enjoy Octopath Traveler, and I'm sure there are people out there who are going to be super pumped about it, and to those people, I'm excited for you guys. It's just, for me, it was not really that crazy, and it seemed like a bit of a weird note to end the show on. But then again, I guess there weren't really many other bombshells to close out with. And hey, I've certainly seen worse one last things at gaming showcases recently. But this one is coming December 4th, so it is dropping this year, and it is going to be cross-gen, which is another reason I felt like it was a weird note to end the show on. You'd think they'd end with something that's exclusively coming to the Switch 2, but I won't pick nits. I'm sure this is exciting to quite a few people, and to you guys, I hope it's everything that you want it to be. So yeah, all in all, it was fine. Decent enough show. Nothing really crazy, nothing that blew my mind or left a crazy impression, but some pretty good looking games. Again, I think that the ultimate thing that I have to say about the show is, I guess given how much more powerful the Switch 2 is and the greater third-party support, maybe I was expecting a few more bombshells, a few more day-and-date type games, maybe like AAA day-and-date games, but what was shown here was good. I know that Nintendo obviously has a wide audience that they're trying to appeal to. Not everyone who plays on the Switch or Switch 2 is trying to play the AAA third-party games, so they probably wanted to show some things that are still in Nintendo's typical wheelhouse, like different, a couple platformers, turn-based RPGs, things like that. And to that end, I think it succeeded. It's just not every game was the most exciting thing in the world, as you would expect out of a partner show. And I think the fact that it was a partner show made it seem a little bit quieter right before the show even started, because you kind of knew that there were going to be no first-party games there. And again, we've seen a fair bit of those first-party games, so it's fine, and we know they're coming this year, which is fine. But again, there are several games on the docket that have no release dates, so a proper direct would have been a great opportunity for them to announce those dates. Granted, I know they like doing that through the whole Nintendo Today app thing, so I don't know. I would have liked a bigger Nintendo Direct with more first-party stuff, but I guess I'm just happy to see we got a Direct at all, even if this one was, again, a little bit quieter. There are still good games coming, and I think if you are someone who is willing to look beyond genre and can, you know, open your tastes up to a bunch of different things, you were probably pretty satisfied with the show. Again, I walked away from it with at least a few games that I'm going to be looking forward to throughout the rest of the year, so to me that's a net positive. To me, a gaming showcase is only really bad if there's like nothing good, but even like things that don't interest me, I can at least see why it's a big deal or why it's so exciting. And there were some games here where I was like, that's not for me, but I could see why others would be interested. And like I said, I got a few games here that I'm going to be looking forward to before the year's out, and even like one or two to look forward to sometime next year. I just hope that when September rolls around, we get a normal, proper Nintendo Direct where we get to see some of those first-party games and also what Nintendo's planning for next year on the first-party front. If I had to give the show a grade, I would probably just give it like a C, like a flat C, no C plus or C minus, just a flat C. It was fine. It wasn't anything mind-blowing, but it wasn't anything terrible. The worst Nintendo Directs are still better than like 80 to 90% of other gaming showcases. And again, being that it was a partner show, I knew going in there wasn't going to be anything like crazy, hyper, mind-blowing, but I knew there were going to be some decent games that were going to be at least kind of interesting. So to that end, I had modest expectations and they were met. So to that point, decent job, Partner Showcase. Definitely hoping for a much bigger showing sometime soon, though. But that's all just my opinion on the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. What did you guys think about it? Did you love it way more than I did? Did you hate it way more than I did? Were you just completely indifferent toward it? What are the games from the show that you are most looking forward to playing? And here's a fun little question, because sometimes I like to ask different questions at the end of the video and see what you guys think. When do you think the first-party games this year that don't have dates are going to be coming out? Because we know that Pokemon Legends ZA is in October, but that leaves Metroid Prime 4, Kirby Air Riders, and Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment without any actual release dates. Like, if I have to guess, I'm gonna say maybe like Prime 4 in September, Kirby in November, and Hyrule Warriors in like early December. But that's my guess. What do you guys think? Do you think they're coming out this year? When do you think they're coming out? What do you think the order is gonna be? Do you think any of them are gonna end up coming out next year? Do you think Nintendo has anything surprising that they haven't shown that they're gonna be like shadow dropping throughout this year? I know it's Mario's 40th anniversary, the Super Mario franchise's 40th anniversary, so do you think they have anything planned for this year? I've been hearing rumors about like a reissue of Super Mario 3D All-Stars, but with Mario Galaxy 2 tacked on this time. Do you think that's actually happening? Do you think it's a bunch of hogwash? Whatever your thoughts and opinions are, leave them down in the comments below. Let's keep this civil and have some fun as we like to do. If you guys want to hit like and subscribe and support some of my other ventures that I have linked in the description, thank you. If not, it's no big deal. I totally understand. And as for what's next, I have a couple other ideas that I'm thinking about right now. Just putting them together. Hopefully they come out the way that I'd like them to. Again, apologies in advance if videos take a while to come out just because I'm busy, I have a job, things like that. But I'm going to try to keep putting out at least like a video a month, a long-form video a month. And I continue to keep busy with the shorter album reviews as well, so I'm going to make sure that you guys have some content. And some of the ideas that I have I'm very excited about, so I hope you guys will be excited to see them when they come along. So stay tuned for that, but until next time, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.